CBS Sports senior college football writer, CBSSports.com. Dennis Dodd, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to Tuscaloosa.
I am. How are you, Ryan?
I'm great. Great. We're just down to almost single digits when we talk about the big kickoff weekend, but we even get college football this weekend, so that's a little appetizer before the main course gets here.
Yeah, a very little bit of appetizer, but at least it's fall, right? We're ready to go.
No doubt, no doubt. I want to dive a little bit deeper into this Lane Kiffin story. It grabbed my attention. We briefly talked about it yesterday, but I really want to dive a little bit deeper in as far as Lane Kiffin and sort of the what he's doing here to rehab his program, or rehab his name to get back in as far as a head coach. Just help us understand the article and how it sort of came about.
Well, just the fact that now, after what he did the last 2 years, there may not be a more successful assistant college coach ever. I can't remember any of them with 3 championship rings in the drawer and 3 Heisman Trophy winners on their resume, and either not wanting to or not being able to get a head job at, this is the key, at the peak of their career, 41 years old. And we all know Lane's a unique individual with a unique personality. But, you know, it's like, why isn't it? Isn't it time? We know from reports that he interviewed at Maryland and was offered the UCLA offensive coordinator's job, which is really kind of a lateral move at best. But, you know, I don't think it's a question of whether he'll get hired to be a head coach again. It's almost like, what will his ego allow him jobs to take? I mean, it may be that all he can get right now is a group of 5 jobs. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that might be the case. Will he go to a Fresno or a Boise State? I'm just pulling names out of a hat to get back in and become a head coach. He may need that buffer job and prove himself as that, you know, stable rock of a head coach before he gets to the big time again.
You were talking to some of the colleagues out there. I mean, do they have an opinion on this as far as I know you've got some quotes here in your article, but as you talk to people around the business, what do they think about Lane Kiffin and can he get back in it?
Well, most of the people I talked to didn't want to go on the record. It was that sensitive. They thought he could be a head coach. Well, he's a great coach between the white lines. I mean, that was the summation of the conversation. I think the other part of it is, can he get over maybe a perception of immaturity at age 41, a grown man with 3 children? You know, these cryptic tweets throughout the whole summer and spring. The stuff he did at Tennessee is going to hang on to him. The fact that he left after a year, the fact that he called out Urban Meyer inaccurately, by the way, we know that. It's hard. It's a dichotomy. You know, here's a guy who was publicly shamed by Al Davis and was fired on the tarmac at USC, but also in 2011 went to Oregon and knocked them out of the national championship race with 51 scholarship players right there in Austin. So somewhere in there is a pretty good head coach. I just don't know when he's going to be one again.
You know, and I always looked at these tweets, and I think some of it is bringing his name to the forefront. Saban does not allow his coordinators to talk, so maybe it's a little bit of promotion. You know what I mean? Refreshing. Hey, I'm here. But in some sense, if I'm an AD, it also gives me a sign that, you know, maybe he's still got some growing up to do.
Well, and I don't think Nick particularly likes that. He doesn't like his assistant stepping out. It's the one voice mentality that he copied from Bill Belichick. So, in fact, I know he doesn't like it. Just because of that, because they're asking questions. What does it mean? Where is he? What is he doing? And it's just like, it's like me doing something stupid on Twitter. It's like, what? I catch myself. Why did I need to say that? That was dumb. Stay off social media. That's all he has to do. I don't think Jeremy Pruitt all over social media, by the way, right now.
Right now, we're talking to Dennis Dodd, CBSSports.com. And Dennis, I'll ask you, right now, we're 10 days away from Alabama football. I know we've already spoke about that, but how concerning is it that Alabama has not been able to pencil down a quarterback, and it seems to be 3 quarterbacks that are still competing for that job?
Yeah. I don't know what the word is. Concern, yes, but the track record is still pretty good there. Maybe it's just faith that everything's going to work out. And Lane is a big part of that. The last 2 years they've done this in late August, and last year into September. You have to have faith that everything's going to work out. You see Jalen Hurts getting a lot of run lately as a true freshman. Would Nick ever do that? Throw a true freshman out there, one in the season opener or two as a permanent starter. I don't know. There's only one guy on the roster who's taken more than one snap in his career, and that's Cooper Bateman. So, there are going to be some hard and fast decisions taken here. He wants a guy that is not going to lose the job, that, they don't have to yo-yo back and forth. A guy that's going to win the room before he wins the job, and he said that before. You got to win the respect of your teammates before you win the job, and then go from there. And then don't turn it over, which is obvious by the way Alabama plays football.
You think USC can give this team a test?
Yeah, I've been telling people I think USC's got a chance here. They are very, very talented, particularly in both lines. I think Zach Bonner, that's maybe the best offensive lineman not named Cam Robinson in their offensive line. Adoree Jackson is a poor man's Jabril Peppers. And Juju Smith-Schuster, sorry, Calvin Ridley, this guy might be the best receiver in the country. Now, they've got a new quarterback, and Max Brown. Clay Helton is starting his first full season as a head coach. What does that do? But I think in that weird neutral site opening game that Alabama's always won, I think USC's got a chance here.
Yeah, I think the most concerning part with the quarterback situation, Nick Saban said something on Saturday that grabbed my attention, because if you look back at the previous 2 years under Kiffin as far as an offensive coordinator, they've always had that big bell cow running back. Nick Saban said on Saturday that one of the things that he wants to see improve is more consistent play from the running back position. The word inside that camp, and what we've talked about here for a couple of days, is the running backs have not performed up to where they need to be, and that's important if you're going to take pressure off that quarterback position. Yeah,
and look, I think part of that is I think that's real. I also think Nick is sending a message to those guys and to maybe those offensive linemen, hey, you need to step it up. There's an interesting stat out there I looked up. The leading returning rusher for Alabama's Damian Harris was 157 yards. So the last time the leading returning rusher had fewer yards was John Parker Wilson in 2006. He had 83. So that tells you kind of the conga line, at least for now, of star tailbacks has ended. One of these two guys or both could be it, but there's not an obvious guy in waiting, even though Bo Scarborough is that five-star guy.
We know for certain, or at least we think we know, that this defense is going to be elite. How far can elite defense take you in the current state of college football?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, what was the Kirby Smart coach, the top 5 defense 6 of the last 7 years? That should answer that question. The fact that we all wrote about the front 7 and the defensive line last year, the fact that it doesn't matter who started, and it truly doesn't this year because, again, they're very, very good to the point that they've only got 2 starters back in the front 7, Reuben Foster and Jonathan Allen, and those 7 have a combined cumulative starts of 40. That's a lot from inexperienced front 7, and then you don't even count Tim Williams, who's never started a game and is rated by Mel Kiper right now the number 2 player in the draft. So it really doesn't matter who starts. It matters that they're very, very good. Watch Deshaun Hand, obviously an All-America type. Dalvin Tomlinson, I'm fascinated by because of his backstory. At 6'3", 307, knocked down 6 passes last year. There were two SEC linemen rated in the top 50 in that category last year. He was one of them. That tells you about his athleticism. So I think they'll be very, very good, and the defense will take them a long, long way, as it usually does.
But in the current day of college football, I know I've got about 45 seconds here, but in the points, your offense has still got to put up production. I mean, we're seeing an average in the SEC about 28.1 points per game. You at least got to get to 20, 21, 24 top points. I mean, Alabama, I thought, was pretty good last year, 15.1 points per game. You got to be able to score points in this current day of college football.
Yeah, you do. Another record was set last year nationally. Teams averaged 29 points per game. That was an all-time record. I think the defenses matter more in the SEC because it's the line of scrimmage league. You will see 13 to 10 games. You will see 17 to 14 games, and that defense matters. It matters what you do in the last 10 minutes when you need to just run the ball and suck up the clock. So I think it means more. You know, and yes, does every team have to have balance? Yes, they do, absolutely. But I think Alabama can still go a long way leaning on its defense.